First and foremost is not being patient enough, and this obviously is something that, goes along with reselling, but it also goes along with dropshipping as well, okay? So for example, with reselling, like let's say you're buying a bunch of inventory and you're listing it, well, the more inventory typically that you have, the more sales you're gonna make, right? And so you need to build up that kind of, a bulk of inventory to start getting consistent sales. The same thing goes with dropshipping. The only difference is you don't actually have the inventory in your possession, right? So you gotta list more, okay? This is one of the things I see in the Facebook group all the time, not my Facebook group specifically, but like just all the dropshipping Facebook groups as well, is like people are like, hey, my sales are down, or like they're just starting and it seems like they've listed 10 products a day for a week and they're wondering why they're not getting like, $100 days or like, multi-$1,000 months or something like that. And it's like they're only getting like a sale here and there. You need to list more. You're not being patient enough, and more realistically, you're not really working hard enough, which ties me into point number 2, which I kind of just covered, is not having enough inventory, okay? Just the same as like not being patient enough, you also need to build up your inventory, because it doesn't matter if you're dropshipping and you're just listing other inventory that you don't have, or if you're purchasing the inventory ahead of time and then listing it. It's just a different approach. Same kind of e-commerce, business model. It's just like, it's not the same business model, but like it's the same overall idea, except one you're purchasing ahead of time and probably getting a better margin on, and then you ship it out yourself. The other one, you're listing other people's products and then kind of facilitating the shipping to the actual customer for the markup and profit. Very, very similar, but ultimately you need inventory and more inventory for both, okay? The more inventory you list if you're drop shipping, the more listings that you have, the more sales you're gonna make typically, obviously, right? And it's just the same with reselling. If you're buying like liquidation, or you're buying cashback products, or whatever it is, wholesale even as well, right? Like the more inventory, the more listings that you have, the more sales you obviously make, all right? And that leads me to the next point, which is sourcing poor inventory, okay? It doesn't matter if you're sourcing liquidation. It doesn't matter if you're even listing for drop shipping. If you're just listing a bunch of things, but like there's no demand for those actual products, you're gonna struggle. It doesn't matter if you have 10,000 listings, there's no demand for those products and you're not gonna get the sales to match that, right? And so you should definitely be putting in work and being patient and listing more, but you also need to list quality things and quality inventory that are in demand that people are going to be looking for, right? Now, the next one is not niche jumping and shiny object syndrome. And basically what I see, it doesn't matter if you're reselling or if you're drop shipping, is like, you don't get the sales if you're a beginner, obviously, or if you're intermediate. You might not be getting the sales right away because you're not being patient enough. And so you look across the board and you get constantly hit with these ads. It's like, well, maybe drop shipping isn't the right business model for me, or maybe I'll get more success if I move over to like, I don't know, like starting a TikTok channel or something. Like anything out there, there's a million different business models. And so you need to stick with something and master it and keep working hard and getting better at it, right? If you constantly niche jump, if you start drop shipping and then you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll move to like FBA wholesale, right? And then maybe I'll move to like Shopify drop shipping, and then maybe I'll move over to like starting an Instagram page and trying to be an influencer. Like none of that's going to work. You need to stick with one thing. It doesn't matter if you're drop shipping. It doesn't matter if you're starting, to sell wholesale on Amazon. It doesn't matter if you're flipping books on Amazon. Pick one thing, master it, get better at it, and then once you have it kind of set up where it's systematized and kind of automated for the most part, or you're hiring somebody else to kind of manage it for you, then and only then should you add something else to your kind of, diversification of business models, right? So don't get caught up with shiny object syndrome, and don't niche jump is number 4, okay? And the last one is not continuing to learn, improve, and adapt. And I'm definitely, someone that falls prey to this as well. It's like sometimes I get set in my ways where it's like I'll be having like, very, very successful dropshipping days, right? And like, or even back when I used to do a lot of books, like I'd have very, very successful purchases and then like a bunch of successful days. But like, if it doesn't matter if it's you, it doesn't matter if it's me, like if I get complacent, I'm just like, oh, I figured it out. That's typically when you're kind of on the edge of the cliff and it's like about to go under and something's gonna go wrong, right? And so you should not be getting complacent. It doesn't obviously matter if you're new and you're not getting the sales that you want, because then you won't be complacent. And it also doesn't matter if like you're already successful and you're getting, very, very successful days over and over and over again. You should constantly be learning, constantly adapting, constantly seeing what's next, and kind of anticipating where the dropshipping business model is going to go on Facebook or Amazon, or where your reselling business is going to go on Amazon or eBay or Walmart or whatever. You should constantly be learning, constantly be watching like new videos, and even if it's like from other people that like you might think are below you or like not necessarily at the level that you are, you should be learning from everybody, because chances are you'll find something else out that you might not have known, right? It doesn't matter if you're dropshipping, it doesn't matter if you're reselling. So constantly stay learning. Don't get complacent, because when you're the most vulnerable, honestly, is like when you're starting to have consistent days where you're being successful, because then you get stuck in your ways and you think you figured it out, and chances are like a couple weeks to a month from now, you're not going to be at that level again because you got complacent and you stopped kind of, adding new things to your business.